Hello and welcome to Health News. Thanks for staying tuned to Channels Television. I'm Mary Alale Yusuf. When public health burdens are being discussed in Africa, what comes to mind are infectious diseases like HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria. And these are indeed serious health concerns. But there is a new threat which seems to be gaining attention: non-communicable diseases. Obesity is a condition that is becoming more common in Nigeria, a condition of the accumulation of excess fat in the body. In our interview segment, a senior registrar in the Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism Unit of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idi-Araba, tackles this menace head-on. The Nigerian Medical Association held her National Executive Council meeting from the 25th of August to the 1st of September. After intense deliberations for 1 week, the National Executive Council came up with what you could call their 7-point agenda.
The theme of the National Executive Council meeting of the Nigerian Medical Association for this year is promoting medical checkups as a key to preventing sudden deaths. In keeping with this theme, the crowning moment of the opening ceremony was the unveiling of the Speaker of the House of Representatives as the face of healthy living and champion of health checkups in Nigeria. It soon became clear, however, that there were weighty matters on the minds of these doctors as they called on the federal government to swiftly inaugurate the governing board of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. This would help check quackery and unwholesome practice. They also called upon the federal government and the National Assembly to establish the office of the Surgeon General of Nigeria, who would act independently to ascertain the health status of public and political office holders, even as they offered to constitute a medical board to examine the health status of Dambaba Suntai, the Taraba State Governor. Other things on the agenda of the NEC were a call to the government to address the irregularities in the Integrated Personal Payroll Information System, the IPPIS. They also recognized the federal government's effort to combat insecurity in the country.
Who would have thought that herbal medicine practitioners and proponents of orthodox medicine would sit down at the same table and have meaningful discussions? Well, that's what happened at the celebration of the African Traditional Medicine Day in Lagos.
The African Traditional Medicine Day, chaired by the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Dr. Paul Ohi. This gathering of alternative medical professionals and other stakeholders converged to chart the way forward for the future of traditional medicine in Nigeria. The NAFDAC DG assured the practitioners that they have his backing and that of the Ministry of Health if their preparations pass the standard test.
NAFDAC is in constant discussion with stakeholders to ensure compliance. The agency has banned illegal advertisement of herbal medicine and bogus claims for cure of disease conditions. We are very happy that the National Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioners has joined us in this campaign. We are working together to weed out the people who are spoiling the name of traditional medicine so that it can be practiced properly. I'm very happy that the Honorable Minister at the National Council of Health meeting that was concluded just yesterday, and now that henceforth the ministry will support NAFDAC. In fact, even the universities are setting up traditional medicine faculties now. Any traditional medicine registered by NAFDAC will be given full rights like any other medicine in the country.
The head Advanced Biology and Chemistry Laboratory, National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research, NIPRD, Professor Martin Zemeje, admonished those with herbal remedies to submit them to the government for evaluation and verification, promising to be fair in their assessment.
The truth is that we will be telling ourselves lie in this country until we agree and make deliberate decision on research and development agenda for our country. And I see that is what NAFDAC is thoroughly doing. Why? Because you take your product, you prove that it is effective. But note this, we are a scientific organization. We are researchers. We will not be emotional.
But some of the participants had concerns that their formulas may be stolen in the process, but the NAFDAC DG affirmed that all patent rights will be protected.
When we standardize it, we first test it, do all the trials, and once we prove, and now we can help you get your patent rights. Once it's patented as your product, now you can begin to write the recipe everywhere. You know that anywhere, nobody can just pick it and use it without coming back to you, unless they want a lawsuit.
If these interactions are anything to go by, you just might be seeing some new labels in your local pharmacy soon.
Next on the foreign scene, a simple but effective way of fighting cholera in Cuba. This and other stories coming your way after this time.
Every day you invite us to your home. Now we invite you to our homepage. Join Channels TV on social media. Hang out with us on Google Plus/Channels Television. Follow us on Twitter.com/Channels TV_NG. Friend us on Facebook.com/Channels Forum. And don't forget to like our page. That's not all. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, youtube.com/Channels Web, to get constant video updates on news and events in Nigeria and around the world. ChannelsTV.com, the news at your fingertips.
No less than 163 people, 12 of whom are tourists, have been affected by a new outbreak of cholera in Havana, Camagüey, and eastern Santiago de Cuba, or in Cuba. Cuban authorities say they have mounted a vigorous campaign against the dreaded disease. Public enlightenment health posters can be spotted on the walls, and people wash hands and boil water for domestic use. Cuba had been cholera-free for 50 years prior to this new outbreak, which first occurred in August 2012 and again this year. All 163 cases of cholera are progressing well, and there have been no casualties. A study has traced the origins of tuberculosis to hunter-gatherers groups in Africa 70,000 years ago. This is contrary to the commonly believed theory that tuberculosis spread from animals to human and is only 10,000 years old. Scientists postulated this when they reconstructed the evolutionary history of tuberculosis from geographic and genetic data using 259 strains of the tubercle Bacillus bacterium, the results of which they compared to the origins of humans in Africa. It is said that this study could open the way to gaining a deeper understanding of the operations of tuberculosis and thus reduce its prominence. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease spread by inhaling droplets released by the cough or sneezes of an infected person.
Obesity has been tagged a disease in some quarters. The happy news, though, is that it is preventable. Health News spoke with a senior registrar in endocrinology, diabetes and metabolism with the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idiaraba, Dr. Oluwatosin Kayode. Let's listen and know why we should pay attention to that extra weight.
Obesity means accumulation of excessive body fat to such an extent that it begins to have a harmful effect on the life of that person. You know, when we eat food, food is usually broken down into calories. And then for bodily functions like breathing, maintaining a normal body temperature, calories are needed because calories are a form of energy. Now, when you take more calories than the body can use up, the excess calorie is now stored as fat, and that leads to accumulation of excessive body fat, giving rise to obesity. There's this entity we know called the body mass index, BMI in short. According to the World Health Organization, this BMI can be used to define different grades of obesity, normal weight, and underweight. So what happens is that you measure your weight in kilograms, you measure your height in meters, and then the formula is the weight divided by the height squared. So for instance, if my weight is 60 kilograms and my height is 1.62 meters, so if I multiply 1.62 by 1.62, that would give me 2.56. So 60 divided by 2.56 is about 23.4 kilograms per meter squared. Now, for someone who is underweight, that is less than 18.5. Normal weight will be normal body index, that means normal, is between 18.5 and 24.9. So for that example that I gave, that is normal because it's 23.4. Now, for someone who is overweight, that's between 25 and 29.9. Then obesity is 30 and above. And then we now have different grades of obesity. Class 1, class 2, and class 3. So anything 40 and above is very bad. That's severe obesity. We call it morbid obesity. And it is associated with a lot of very terrible health consequences. The reason why we are so worried about obesity, before they call it orobo, being orobo is like a sign of good living. Like when you see a young girl, she's thin, she gets married, everybody expects her to put on weight. That will now show us that her husband is taking good care of her. But that is not it at all. Obesity has been associated with a lot of very terrible health consequences. I will start first with diabetes. Diabetes is when there is excessive sugar in the blood and the person begins to urinate frequently, the person begins to lose weight, the person is taking a lot of water. And then when the person passes urine, you see ants flowing around the urine. Secondly, hypertension. The blood pressure is high. Normal blood pressure should be less than 140/90 millimeters of mercury. People who are obese are more prone to hypertension. Thirdly, they are prone to heart diseases. You hear about people having heart attacks. Maybe they are just working in the office and they just slump. It could be because of a heart attack. We call it myocardial infarction. They can have heart failure, the heart fails. They could come down with a stroke. We know about strokes. Someone is just walking or person sleeps, wakes up in the morning, cannot lift one part of the body. There's weakness of the right side of the body. The mouth shifts to one side. He's not able to talk well. That's another consequence of obesity. Then they could have low back pain, joint pains. We call it arthritis. Imagine the amount of weight. Maybe the joints, like the knee joint, should carry just about 30 kg. Now they are carrying like 60 kg. Of course, there will be pain. So they have arthritis, low back pain. Then obesity has been associated with infertility. We found out that a lot of people that are obese may have issues with childbearing. Then cancers. We know about cancers. Many of these cancers, they don't have a cure. And obesity has been linked to a lot of cancers. For women, cancer of the breast, cancer of the uterus, cancer of the ovaries. Then for men, cancer of the prostate. So it has a lot of very terrible health consequences, being obese. A woman can have menstrual irregularities because she's obese, gallstones, so many other things.
Is there a fat gene?
Just in a minority of people. We call it monogenetic disorders. For instance, I'll just give an example. There's this hormone in the body that is produced in the fat tissue of the body, the adipose tissue. It's called leptin. And what leptin does is that it helps to suppress our appetite so that once you take your meal, you get filled easily and you don't eat excessively, thereby accumulating body fat. But in some people, they've actually found that they have a lack of that leptin gene. So they just eat uncontrollably. In fact, they did some studies in rats and they found out that those rats became really obese. So a few people may have this leptin gene lack, as in a deficiency, and they become very obese. But that's just in a very small set of people.
What is the treatment for obesity like?
Exercise is so important. I talked about an imbalance between the calories we take in and the calories the body burns. So exercise is a form of burning calories. You are exercising, you're burning the calories. So the major problem in obesity, diet, physical activity, and exercise comes under physical activity. Remember that in the days of even when my dad, when we used to talk with him, they were into farming. They would walk kilometers to the farm every day. Then they would farm, and then we didn't have things like all these empty calories, these energy dense foods then. All these meat pies, sausage rolls, donuts, puff, all these sweetened drinks, juices, all these things were not available then. So then they were burning calories and they were eating healthy. Do you understand? So, but now, a lot of us, we are working at the office. Everybody, people wake up in the morning, they go to the office, they work on the computer. This is a computer jet age. Using the computer, you're just sitting down. People like a secretary, all she does sit at the desk, types from morning till night. You have an executive director. He has meetings from one office to the other. We are living sedentary lifestyles. Is it a trader? Maybe she sells at Oshodi markets. She sells provisions. She sits down all day, attends to her customers. What form of exercise has she carried out? None. So that is where the problem is. And she's eating her 3 square meals. Secretary will take her breakfast, she'll take her lunch, and she'll take her dinner. And another thing I've noticed is that a lot of people take their meals late at night. You see someone who lives at Yanekwaja, works at VI. By the time he gets home at night, it's already 9, 10 p.m. He still eats. Less than 30 minutes after that, he goes to sleep. Everything he has eaten will be stored as fat because he's just going to sleep. He's not going to expend any energy. And that is how obesity starts. So what I would say is that obesity is a disease of lifestyle. And then now people take a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is a source of empty calories.
Some people say that thinking makes us burn energy.
The amount of calories you use for thinking is not much, because if it were much, I'm sure many of these professors would be very thin. But it's obvious that we don't expend so much energy, thinking. The things that really things that you can expect. Look at all these athletes, footballers. Many of them are slim. You can see that they have normal weight. So even if they eat a lot, they are burning the calories. When you run, you swim, you dance, walk briskly, wrestling, all those things, you are burning calories. And it has been recommended now that you take at least 30 minutes of exercise at least 5 times in a week. 30 minutes. I'm not talking about leisure walking. Maybe you are just visiting with your friend, you walk from here to Ojuelegba. No. When you walk briskly, you sweat, you feel your pulse, you find out that it is fast, then you are exercising. Some people tell you that, I do housework from morning till night. Did you sweat? Was your pulse, was it fast?
What singular factor contributes most to the condition?
I'll keep saying it. Our diets and our levels of physical activity, they go together. Inputs, outputs. It's like an equation. There's an imbalance. When the input is too much, there's storage of excessive calories and it leads to fat. At times, you go to work in your car. Why not park a few distance from your office and walk down briskly, Instead of taking the elevator, why not climb the staircase? Go on the staircase, several times in a day.
Do you use medications?
There are some drugs that can be used to treat obesity. But in Nigeria, these drugs are very expensive. And the thing about these drugs is that you have to be on them, because once you stop them, there's usually a rebound. The patient begins to gain weight again. So that's the problem with this drug. And of course, they have their side effects. For people who are morbidly obese, when the BMI is more than 40, or people who have a BMI more than 35 and they already have all these complications that I talked about, these side effects, these adverse events, harmful events, they can have bariatric surgery. But that is not available, it's not readily available in Nigeria. And where it is very expensive. How many people can actually afford bariatric surgery? And what the bariatric surgery does is that they try to make the stomach smaller. Usually the stomach takes about 1,000 mils of fluid, but they can reduce the stomach to such an extent that it takes about maybe 150 mils of food. So by the time the person takes just a small quantity, is filled already. So less food is taken in, less calories, less accumulation of fat.
Does taking salt have any effect on the weight?
Salt is important for those who are hypertensive. You know, salt contains sodium. Sodium moves with water, and this increases the blood volume. So the person is prone to having uncontrolled hypertension or poorly controlled hypertension. So for patients who are hypertensive, we tell them low salt diet. But in obesity, what we are actually concerned with, refined sugars, fats. So the way we prepare our food is also very important. Rather than frying, why not boil or roast? Instead of taking dodo, why not take boli, as in roasted plantain? Do you understand? Or boiled plantain. Instead of frying your meat, why not grill it? So because fat is, you know, we have been talking about fats. Obesity is all about fats. So anything fatty foods, all these things are what we are very concerned about.
Some people say they've tried everything. They've been on a diet for several years. They don't lose weight. In fact, some say they gain. What do you have to say to such people?
We need to start from the beginning. What are they eating? What are their portion sizes? Because some people will tell you that I eat just once a day. But that singular meal is enough to cover 7 meals. Are they still taking fried foods? You understand? Are they still taking refined sugars? Some people will exercise. They go to the gym on Saturday. After exercising, expending energy, they go back home and say, I need to give myself a treat. I've done very well today. And immediately they take things, food substances that will just even double the amount of calories they have just lost. So we need to look at all these things. How are they doing it? What time of the day do they eat their night meals? You can't tell me you are trying to lose weight and you are eating your night meal at 10, 11 p.m. And then in losing weight, we don't want a sudden abrupt loss. We want you to do it gradually. Losing like 1 kg in 1 or 2 weeks. Because if you do that abruptly, when you stop, there's a rebound, and then the likelihood is that you even gain more weight.
Now let's talk about children. These days we see a lot of children of great weight. It wasn't so before. Why is that, and what can one do?
One of my patients, she came with her son, big, and she was like, doctor, what can I do? And I asked her, what does he do? During these holidays, what has he been doing? He watches cartoon from morning till night. They don't go outside to play football anymore. I remember when we were young, my brothers, they used to play football. You know, there's this thing we call tente, that you'll be playing tente, you'll be sweating, you know. All those things are not there anymore. Parents, we are guilty. We buy them all these high, empty calories when we should be giving them fruits, vegetables, encouraging them to eat our local diets, because our diets locally are better than all these westernized diets.
These days we have a lot of security concerns. Parents don't want to let their children out of the house. They themselves want to be at home most hours. That could be a challenge to exercise. Are there exercises that one can do without leaving the house that are effective?
People are getting treadmills in their houses. The treadmills, you're actually staying in a spot, but you are expending energy. You can do that. Then skipping rope. They can skip in the house. You can jog on the spot. If you are that, you don't have money to buy anything, jog on the spot, time yourself, put on music, dance at home, listen to music and be dancing, sweat. You can do that. The children will even enjoy it. You are dancing with your children, everybody is having fun, you are sweating, you are exercising.
Thank you very much for speaking with us on Health News.
You're welcome.
That's how we conclude Health News this week. It's been great sharing this time with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep active and stay healthy. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.